The only way to describe this movie is this is the most Japan-centric movie ever released since probably Tokyo Story, the 1950s. But I mean that in the best possible way for this one. It's tokusatsu, it's kaiju, it's Japan wondering what its cultural identity is in 2007. You're wondering, what could it be? Big Man Japan. One of the most ridiculous looking things I have truly ever seen. Big Man Japan is an outrageous portrayal of an original superhero. As Big Man Japan, Daisato inherited the role of defending Japan against a host of bizarre creatures. He receives high voltage electroshocks, which transform him into a steady, stick wielding giant several stories high. However, where his predecessors were revered as national heroes, he is an outcast among the citizens he protects, says hilarious Real Talk LA, and one of the most thoughtful and funny superhero films for adults, the NY Press. This is just, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's a mockumentary that is following this one man who pretty much just stops all the invading monsters, but most of these monsters are just benign or cause minimal damage. He's kind of accepted the role, but at the same time, you can tell it. He feels disenfranchised, I guess, with his life, and is like, oh yeah, so he says, yeah, it's like the company will pay me $2,000 a month and then $3,000. It's like it follows him as he goes around to like power stations or whatever, and with the electricity he rises to be several stories tall and combats these creatures. Which, okay, that sounds like an interesting premise, but well, therein comes the satire, or I guess view on how Japan viewed itself in the mid 2000s. Let's see. During one long take, as he's riding his moped or motorbike or whatever upwards to the power station, they said several signs saying, "You consume too much electricity. We don't need you," and how dare you, and other things like that. All the while, he's just traveling up this road, and he eventually does get there. And then we see him fight a monster. Now with some kaiju battles, some of these would last a while. Like you see some of the Godzilla and Gamera ones would be like 10, 15 minutes. This is like maybe 2 minutes long, and it's just like, wait, what? So as I'm witnessing myself, I'm like, okay, what's really going on here? And it's kind of like how Japan has already become, I don't want to say desensitized, but in this film's universe, they pretty much just live the fact that there are going to be kaiju invasions, and they actually say, oh yeah, like you're, in addition, like you are sucking the supply out of our electricity. It's like, that battle wasn't exciting enough. It's like, I wanted more action. I wanted to see either someone get their butt kicked or to have it be lengthy. And you just look at it, you're like, dang. It's critiquing the kaiju genre, as how everyone may be like saying, hey, when is King Caesar going to reappear in the MCU or Hedorah or whatever? This one's just more taking it and just doing an inverse, I guess, because it's a man that's been defeated, and how he's living in a ball right house, I guess. But he's saying that he is not anti-yes. He doesn't hate the country. He's just doesn't exactly want to renew his passport and visit there. This is not an anti-American movie. It deals with the tensions of America and Korea, which I'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, it's like, he's got all the money, he's got all the sponsorships and everything, and they have to behave in a certain way. Well, his agent comes in with an amazing car and two poodles and looking all frou-frou and everything. So it's like she spent $50,000 on a car while he doesn't get anything. I'm just like, very common. And like you see the car, you look at her like that. Yeah, and we even get He had a grandfather as well that was what was that, number four, whatever it was. He was pretty much revered as a legend, going out partying and never even being able to carry a wallet. And then again, a lot more kaiju were appearing, so it's probably like the 60s or whatever. But eventually, it always inherit. It was like saying, hey, this defender, I guess, will always go on to the next family member. And as the threat started to decline, so did the public's perception. So obviously, this was like when there was a lot of nationalism back then, and how it started to wane over time, and how WW2 forgot the fervent or respect wasn't as exactly as high as it was. There was also period in. There's also a point in GMK 2001, but here's it's done pretty good. There's a funny scene where like there's this giant stink monster. He slowly walks up, and they have a discussion about smells, and even a saying like, "Hey, where did you come from?" The monster says Kansai, and I don't know. It was just so specific. My personal favorite is there was a kaiju that had an extendable part right in its groin. You can infer what it means, and sometimes if like have an attack or whatever, be able to instantly retract. Now the monster has to use its hands to retract the appendage, I guess you could say. And if it goes into darkness, it falls asleep. Can't make this shit up. It's so great. Oh man, but yeah. So, and of course the character like um has to deal with his ex-wife that he only gets to see his daughter once a month, and the daughter goes on screen and says, "What do you think of your dad's job?" "I don't care." "What do you think of your dad?" "He's all right, I guess." Now, even she was acting like very deadpan throughout this. It's so specific and funny. I'm loving every second of this. It's like, remember, this is a very specific style movie. It's a mockumentary, so yeah, obviously there's like layers of this, of like the cultural identity that Japan was going on through then, because it's like, is it really Japan, or is it an amalgamation of various countries, especially with the post-war occupation? That it's like saying, hey, it's like it is like Tokyo right here is a thriving mecca, but then you have other parts like Kyoto and Sentai and everything else. And what ultimately does it lead into? Don't know, but that's just part of the whole aspect and fun. So ultimately, there's this red demon that looks very strong. That was able to kick our heroes behind, and then lo and behold, the monster himself, then number four, comes in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna help you." He gets demolished in one shot, and his soul departs for the afterlife. What the frick? And then lo and behold, truly an amazing ending, comes a parody of Ultraman. This whole family that just looks absolutely ridiculous with the costumes and everything, and they say peace, and they all each take a time walloping the monster, including doing a baby kick where they take a fake baby, of course, kick it around and just demolish the monster. You have to see it to believe it. Words cannot do it justice. And they even take our hero and fly him off, like, okay, happy ending and everything. Even though the family looks ridiculous, but then they're all discussing at the end of the tables, like, hey son, you can't throw a bus in the beginning of a fight. Why not? It's too strong. Then what should I start with? Start with your fists and go from there. Oh no, that is way too old. And they actually have a discussion while the camera slowly zooms just for the ridiculousness. I love this movie, and I really wanted to laugh out loud, but when it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock, you can't exactly have the world's loudest laughter. So yeah, there's gonna be a remake proposed called Big Man United States. I can only imagine how that would have been going. So yeah, this has been very divisive. It's a very divisive movie. The kaiju fans like me who at first disliked it because there wasn't enough action, but it was very popular amongst the what's the art house fans and those who are like cult classics. So yeah, because this is such a specific style of movie, it is not going to appeal to everyone. And the comedian himself, and the person who played the character was a comedian. Hitoshi Sakaguchi, I think he's like one of the premier comedians in Japan, playing as like with Japanese comedians. It's like you have one who says some of the most ridiculous stuff, and then you have the straight man who responds and doesn't laugh, and they don't use sarcasm. They have an F ton of wordplay. So yeah, that is definitely what it is, and it's just yeah, such a freaking great movie. Hang on a second. Yeah, he Hitoshi Matsumoto looks like he can't even barely say this. It's just like, just look at this. That's all I need to say. So yeah, I do highly recommend that you watch Big Man Japan.